obviously the Timberwolves are having problems, but the way that the Timberwolves are being talked about, and I get it, they just got from the Western Conference Finals. Now, believe it or not, I was, active enough in my brain to know about the other Western Conference Finals, and there is some semblances. I've said myself that there just feels like there's some semblances of what we went through, resemblances. Sorry, excuse me, of what we went through in 2004. But again, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about what's going on right now. We put Dante DiVincenzo in the starting lineup, put Mike Conley on the pitch. The reason we did that is because, of course, Mike Conley hasn't been able to perform at the level that Mike Conley, even though Mike Conley wasn't performing at some all-star level or anything close to that, Mike Conley was very efficient and things ran very smoothly when Mike Conley is your point guard. That is the thing about Mike Conley, why there is so much staying power for a player like Mike Conley. But this year, things have kind of changed. And again, as much as we've talked about the Karl-Anthony Towns trade and how it affected Anthony Edwards, especially, we don't talk about the Rudy Goberts and the Mike Conleys and the Jaden McDaniels of the world. Karl-Anthony Towns, even though he was the second option, he is also a big offensive option to have somebody that is very talented. Like at the end of the day, we can talk what we want to talk, and not as much this year because he's really been proving himself, but Cat is great. Cat was great when he was with Minnesota. Things have really evolved for him, I feel like, as far as his offensive evolution and even defense. To a certain extent, there's still some things to be fixed with his defense, but the Timberwolves, the thing I think that was the problem, and that we had this problem a few years ago. We're asking the Timberwolves, who just got Julius Randle, who is a relatively big piece, especially if we're talking about offensively speaking. I think to get Julius comfortable, this going to sound kind of crazy. I think we should try to sometimes put him at point forward, not point forward where he comes up and he backs up and bangs with the big that's guarding him. That's not what I'm saying. There is a playmaker in Julius Randle. And one thing that I think we did really well last year was knowing our strengths on offense, right? Even though our offense still wasn't that well suited, our defense really made up for our offense. And when our offense was on, we knew what pieces were going to be on typically. Now we would get other games from other players, but typically it was Anthony Edwards. It was, of course, Kyle Anthony Towns. You'd get a Nas Reed game, for example. Nikhil Alexander Walker has been valuable to this team. So there are things that we would look forward to every single game and kind of know what we were getting and given. There's a reason why Nas Reed was the sixth man of the year. I'm pretty sure there's a reason why the Timberwolves felt comfortable enough to trade Kyle Anthony Towns as much as, and this is the thing that's still kind of confusing. Yes, if Julius Randle leaves after this season, that opens the spot up for Nas Reed. I Why did he give up so much? Just to keep Dante DiVincenzo? Now, I'm not saying Dante DiVincenzo, he's definitely no slouch, right? And again, Dante DiVincenzo is reacclimating to a whole new team, a whole new system. And one thing that I do like is that we started to we've started to put him more involved in the offense, which is something that I think is needed for a team that, quite honestly, is lacking offensively. We're still talking about Rudy Gobert. He has only gotten worse on offense, more clumsy. He's only gotten older. Defensively, things aren't the same standard that we placed on ourselves last year with the defense that we had, which was historically high at times. So there is a lot to take from this Minnesota Timberwolves team. Like there are games where we are leading going into half, and then the third quarter comes and we just shit the bed, or the complete opposite happens. We start off very cold, and then the third quarter comes, and that's when we have our hot streaks, and then we're having a close game by the fourth quarter, and for some reason, because the third quarter we wasted so much energy, the fourth quarter whoever it is that we're facing, like we're able to keep up with the Boston Celtics, the Oklahoma City Thunder, which again, those teams are top tier team right now. Timberwolves aren't considered top tier teams because in the same breath, We're losing to teams like earlier in the year with Portland Trailblazers. We lost to the Detroit Pistons. There's no knock on them, especially with how they've been doing this year. But for what I expected from my Minnesota Timberwolves, that's not what I want to see. And Kate Cunningham being able to have a 40-point game, I think it was a 40-point triple double, if I'm not mistaken. Which again, shout out to him. I got to give him a lot of credit for that. But that's not, you know, not for the Minnesota Timberwolves, who again, we pride ourselves on defense. We pride ourselves on being able to continue to allow for our defense to speak for us. So if our offense isn't there, which there are games where our offense is way far left, cannot find that shit to save our lives. We end up in these again positions where we're like, why the fuck did we make that trade? And again, it's going to be hard to get away from asking that question when Karl-Anthony Towns was such a staple in Minnesota for so long, and we finally got to start seeing that pan out. And then we flip the script and we're like, you know what? Never mind. This ain't working out, but it was working out. But we don't want to get into the luxury tax, so fuck it. We could take this loss. We did this last time. We did this in 2004. There was just, as you can see, this is frustrating to me because I do believe that the Minnesota Timberwolves will make the playoffs, but I do still think they have a capability of making a run, but there's just got to be something that clicks for the whole team. And Anthony Edwards, again, I love that he'll speak his mind. Love it. Thank you. We needed somebody that was a vocal leader. Cat would talk, but again, Jimmy Butler was probably the closest to that, and we see where that is going in Miami. That vocal leader that also wants to make sure that the team is rallying around each other. He's still young, so there is still the flaws in how he kind of goes about it for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do as a team leader. If you think it's antics because he talks his shit in the media and he keeps getting fined, that's you. I don't believe that. I don't think it's wrong for him to be frustrated. I don't think it's wrong for him to speak his mind. I think that's what makes Anthony Edwards Anthony Edwards. Don't ever stop being that. Please do not ever stop being that. Those of you that are against you think that every single player, every single professional athlete is supposed to be professionally trained and not say a word that ends in or starts with some bullshit. Again, it's gonna happen. It's what makes sports so fun and intriguing is as much as we love watching the game, come on, when we get those iconic interviews that we still look at to this day, it's because of those moments where somebody that is considered to be media trained and comes to the media and talks in such a, call it thin lining. I call it, you walk a tightrope. You make sure that you stay on that rope. You never veer off too far from that rope. Though when we get that veer off, it's nice. It's iconic a lot of times. So hey, to each his own with how you guys like to go about media. But again, that's not, I just went on a tangent and a rant about media and media personality and shit like that. That's why every person that shows any humanity is called a diva. That's why you can't do anything that seems like is huge, a human moment without it seeming like you are crazy or you're again a diva or you are unhinged or whatever the case may be. Just think we just are a little too hard on that. Again, I don't want people to just start going off and being crazy. Like there's a reason why these people are in front of the media. There's a reason why when people are like that, typically we take them off for like, all right, you played your game, go sit your ass down. But to go on again on a tangent, I think the Timberwolves could be all right. I think Dante DiVincenzo move was the right move. Again, I know Rob's been hurt, but I'm hoping that we can see something of Rob Dillingham and start to get an idea because we'll have to start looking for a point guard. I don't know if Dante is going to be that necessarily. Julius, I don't know if he's going to be here next year. Probably going to be sitting here trying to figure out what's the next move as far as our team goes. Because again, the structure of our team and the dynamic of our team right now is something she still trying to figure out. There's gonna be moments throughout this season where we're highs of highs, and there's gonna be parts of the season where there's lows of lows. We've had a couple win streaks, we've had a couple losing streaks already. And again, we might be halfway through the season as I'm doing this video, but let's just see where the Timberwolves go. I just want to and hope that throughout this season, there's just a constant growth of chemistry, especially because we've been able to stay relatively healthy, knocking on wood. Just want to continue to see this team stay healthy, continue to see this team compete, because once we get to the playoffs, we know that's a whole different beast. And at the end of the day, you could be an A seed, you can make it to the finals. I'm not saying we're going to be an A seed, relax. But anyways, y'all, I'm going to get up out of here. Y'all stay blessed. Have a good day. I'm out.